Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you have not watched the first video of this, the thumbnail looks something like this. I'm going to post it up somewhere over here. That is where you need to start. It's going to be in the description box. Make sure you check out that video before you start over here, okay? This is Mia, basically the rest of yesterday. Hopefully we'll get today's transcripts and, hopefully start reviewing what the defense did and what they said with Mia and kind of going from there. Do me a favor, hit the like button, and a message for YouTube. YouTube, this is educational content. We are reading court transcripts from a active federal trial that is happening. So please, if you have your bots reviewing this, this is a federal trial, and court transcripts are being reviewed for educational purposes, providing context. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let's go. Were there any other times that you saw that look in his eyes? Yes. When typically did you see it? When he was in a fit of rage or angry or violent? Mia, during the time that you worked for Mr. Combs, were there times where you saw Mr. Combs take drugs? Yes. Were there times when he appeared high to you? Yes. What did you observe in the instance in which Mr. Combs appeared high? Sometimes he would be having so much fun, he would be the life of a party. Sometimes he would just be he would be really hyper sometimes, and sometimes drooling, and his eyes would, or sometimes he would be like wearing sunglasses. On what occasion did you typically see him like this? Mostly partying, like Ibiza or Burning Man or clubs or at a music conference. On this occasion, when he slammed Cassie's head into her bed frame, did you see any indications that Mr. Combs was high? No. Mia, earlier you mentioned that when you and Cassie were together, if you would leave without Mr. Combs' presence, sometimes scary things would happen. Do you remember saying that? Yes. Was there ever a time that you went to a party without Mr. Combs' permission? Yeah, one time. Yes, we did. Who went with you? Cassie. Whose party did you go to? Prince. When approximately was this? I think it was either like 2011, 2012, something like that. Are you estimating? Yes, I'm estimating. What happened that night before the Prince party? I believe it was a big award show of some sort. And Puff had gotten a suite at the Beverly Hills Hotel to get ready. Were you in that suite? Yes. Was Cassie also? Yes. What did Combs tell you to do that night? At the end of the night, he told me to stay with Cass, stay the night with Cass at the hotel. What, if anything, did Mr. Combs say about what he was doing that night? He told me to keep her company and make sure she doesn't come to the house because he was telling her that he was going to be with the kids. Did you expect to see Mr. Combs that night? No. So at some point, did you learn this party was happening at Prince's house? Yes. How did you learn that? A good friend of ours called and said that he was Prince was having like an intimate party at his house up the street. What did you do after you got that call? Cass and I debated like little kids if we were going to sneak out of the house for probably felt like forever. Did you go to the party at Prince's? Yes. What happened when you got to the party? We danced on this purple uplift plexiglass covered on indoor pool and hung out with our friends, and Prince performed on a little table. We were just having fun. Did there come a time when Mr. Combs showed up to the party? Yes. What did you see when Mr. Combs showed up? I saw his little bucket hat come through the entrance and made eye contact with him. So you and Mr. Combs locked eyes? Yes. How did you react after that? Oh crap, me and Cass just booked it. You and Cassie started running? Yes. Where did you go? We ran through the house, which was quite confusing, and we were trying, when we made it out to the yard, there was something across the street that looked like, I don't know if it was woods or not, but something to hide, like bushes, and we were trying to run to hide there. What happened while you were running? Puff caught Cass. When you say he caught Cass, what do you mean? Like he caught up to her and had her on the ground. What happened after Mr. Combs got Cassie to the ground? He started to attack her, but Prince security swiftly intervened. Where did you go after you saw Prince's security intervene? I don't remember like if I was hiding or I just got there, but I ended up like hiding at a different hotel. You're not at the same hotel you were earlier that night? No, I'm not. Did you hear from anyone who worked for Mr. Combs while you were at the hotel? The next day, yes. Who did you hear from? Vashta, I believe. And Vashta is part of human resources? Yeah, she was the head of human resources. Did Vashta tell you that Puff was what did Vashta tell you? That Puff was suspending me without pay and that I was like in big trouble. What did she say was the reason that you were going to be suspended without pay? She just said that Puff said that I was being insubordinate. What, if anything, did Vashta say about Mr. Combs' behavior the night before? Nothing. The government speaks, Your Honor. I'm about to move to a new topic, which I do, or it might be a good time to stop. Court says it's fine. We could take our lunch break. Thank you, members. And so the jury rises and they're excused for lunch. Mia is then excused, and then everybody, lawyers are seated. The court asks, Ms. Smyser, how much time do we have left in your direct generally? I'd say the rest of the day, Your Honor, because of that, we want to try to ensure that this witness is off the stand before the weekend. We weren't anticipating cross being too long this morning with Mr. Nash, so we were wondering if we could come back a little early from lunch and stay a little bit later today to ensure. The court says we can do that. We also could do the same thing tomorrow with a slightly shorter lunch break, and we can see there shouldn't be any issues of what I've already told the jury. If we need to keep them a little bit later tomorrow, we can do that as well. I'll give them a heads up about that today. So they kind of get into this back and forth about the lunch break, right? And Agnifilo jumps in and says, Your Honor, the last several witnesses the government has telegraphed to the court that they were foreseeing an end of witness overall testimony. We heard one witness had a flight reservation. Miss Comey this morning had to tell the court that the witness is flying back at 2. Now we just heard it's again with this witness. This is telegraphing that has been happening all week, where the government is, in my opinion, trying to get the court on its side to basically put an end to when the witnesses should be testifying. I think that's becoming a problem. The reason it's becoming, the court interjects. How does it become a problem? Because what I'm seeing is that the government's doing is simply advising the court as to any anticipated schedule issues. However, if you remember, we've not cut short in any way, shape, or form from the testimony of any witnesses. I have repeatedly told the defense that they should do what they need to do, and I have said with every witness. In fact, in the last witnesses where there was a scheduling issue, you will remember that we all kept the jury late to try to accommodate that issue. But when Mr. Donaldson needed more time, guess what? Mr. Nash was here for the following day. I only see this as a telegraphing in terms of where is what is going on. So really it's for the defense benefit. So they know what the government is thinking, and you can respond by saying, we need more time. Agnifilo further continues. It's not really directed at the court as much as the government has done this week with several witnesses. I'm not saying that the court has limited our cross-examination. It hasn't. And the court was very clear that we brought the witnesses who start the day back today. But it's a pattern that I'm seeing. I just saw it again. The court speaks. It's called common courtesy. It's like this person has a plane flight. Okay. That way you just know that you can speak with Miss Comey or Miss Smyser during a break and say, hey, actually, we anticipate a very long cross-examination. To the extent this witness has a plane or flight, my advice would be that should be moved to a following Monday. That's what it is. That's how I understand it. Agnifilo speaks. I appreciate that. Maybe I'm wrong. What I'm hearing is that we just want to get this witness off the stand by the end of tomorrow. I have no idea if the cross-examination that Mr. Steele is going to do is going to be by the end of the day tomorrow. But it sues false expectations. No one has consulted with us about that. What I like is if these things have to be discussed between the parties, that's one thing. They don't need to put these things on the court record unless they do. No, I want to know these things because I'm adjusting the schedule. Let's step back. We have a schedule that has us here from 9 to 3, which is a shortened schedule. As everyone has noted, I think everyone has liked that because it gives them time for trial preparations in the afternoon. As I told you, the jury at the outset, and as I told the parties, that gives us some flexibility to expand the time as necessary. So is the court speaking about the schedule. To the extent that we can have this witness complete her testimony this week, that's fantastic because it keeps everything moving, and it means the next witnesses can come on and we can prepare for those witnesses and we can do things in an efficient manner. That's why the telegraphing, in my view, is happening. I don't understand it to be anything other than that. I don't understand that it's any kind of posturing or pressuring being exerted to shorten the defense examination or trying to get the court to join forces to somehow constrain the defense. To be absolutely clear, you're not constrained in terms of questioning, that you are permitted to do so as any witness unless something happened and there's an abuse of the rules and that's brought to the court's attention. But to date, we haven't had any of that. Thank you, Judge. Agnifilo speaks. That's all I needed to know. Okay. Comey speaks. If I may, to clarify the record of this, Your Honor, I think we have noted this before, but just want to be very clear. Many of our witnesses are flying from across the country, and we're navigating a lot of different flight schedules. And part of what we're trying to do is keep the court and the defense on the same page about the anticipated schedule. Part of that is that we know when to book flights, including for people coming next week. Part of our thinking about when Mia's testimony might end is about who we are flying in over the weekend and who we are flying in on Monday. That is part of what is going on. It really is about trying to maintain the schedule so that we can have witnesses here and not waste the court and the jury's time. We'll reflect on this, but Mr. Nash's cross-examination was at least twice as long as the direct, and there's no conceivable way to suggest that his cross-examination was limited in any way by our alerting the court to his flight schedule. I think Ms. Smyser wants to put something on the record about Mia as well. Ms. Smyser speaks. Just to correct the record, Your Honor, we did consult with the defense about both the length of the anticipated direct examination and cross-examination of Mia. From what I understand from Mr. Steele, not holding him to it, but by any account, but he anticipated cross being approximately an hour and a half or two, though that could change based on whatever is said in the direct, and he certainly didn't anticipate it being longer than direct. We have been having these discussions with the defense also, and we just want to keep the court apprised as to the schedule. Understood, says the court. I don't regard what was put on the record at the beginning of the break, but to be anything other than there is a heads up on the scheduling, which is helpful for everybody. I don't understand the government to be trying in any way, shape, or form constrain the defense in terms of their timing. If it turns out that we hit the end of the day on Friday and Mia has to come back again Monday, that's what's going to happen. I'm not going to tell you to stop telegraphing because that's how I keep everything on schedule. So that needs to happen. From the defense perspective, if there are scheduling issues on your side that you think would be helpful to alert everybody to, you will let me know, and I will also be helpful as well. Anything else, Mr. Steele? Can I ask a question? When your honorable court decides, would you let us know how late we are going potentially today and tomorrow, just for our schedules as well? The court speaks. The latest I will keep the jury here is 4 p.m. I think that if we're coming back now at 1:15ish or 1:15, I think 4 p.m. is the cutoff today. And then we will see where we are at. Obviously, for tomorrow, depending on where we are at, we can make a determination as to whether we're going to need that late tomorrow. Does that pose any issues from your perspective? Mr. Steele speaks. Not at all. It was helpful, but it was helpful what you just said. Thank you. I don't think I have to say it because I've heard the court say it, but my estimates are terrible. Court speaks. I'm not holding you to those estimates. Mr. Steele speaks. I heard what you said. I never thought that it would be announced in court. I don't want to be held to it, but I appreciate it. I did understand. I did say that. Understood. Mr. Donaldson speaks. I want to go to lunch. I'm hungry. Okay, so ordered. So they all go to lunch. So they're coming back from lunch, and the government comes back and says it's unrelated to Mia's testimony. But while we were waiting, the government had, as I discussed with Ms. Garagos, issues on Rule 17 subpoena for certain phone records from the month of June 2024 uh, from Verizon. And those records, as I understand it, are going to be sent over to Your Honor's chambers either this week or next. We don't intend to introduce them until later in the trial. Garagos and government and court are figuring out evidence issues and what's going to be allowed and what's going to be sent over. Let's get back to questioning. Okay. The judge gives everybody the heads up about the schedule and what's going on. Witnesses back on the stand. Miss Meiser continues her questioning. Exhibits are offered for the government, so confirmed. Mia, before we broke, you were talking about some incidents of violence between Mr. Combs and Cassie. Is that right? Yes. And you had mentioned earlier that sometimes violence happened when you were on vacation with Mr. Combs and Cassie, right? Yes. Have you ever traveled to Turks and Caicos with Mr. Combs? Yes. Where did you go in Turks? We went to an island called Parrot Cay or Parrot Cay. And how many times have you been to Parrot Cay? Twice. When approximately did you go? Around 2012. Who was at these trips? Just me, Puff, and Cass. Did violence happen on these trips? Yes. Once or more than once? More than once. Focusing on the violence between Cassie and Mr. Combs and Turks. Is there an incident that sticks out in your mind? Yes. Where were you when you heard about the incident? I was sleeping in my bedroom. Did there come a time when you were woken up? Yes. How were you woken up? I was woken up to Cass running and screaming into the room. What was Cass saying? She was screaming for help and saying, "You got to help me. He's going to K me." What was her tone in her voice when she was saying this? Cass is normally very chill, like calm, and it was like the most terrified, like someone screaming for her life. What did you and Cass did after she got into your room? We started pushing furniture in front of the door to block it. What kind of furniture did you push? I just remember it being like heavy wood, like wooden furniture. The bed was pretty close to the door, maybe like a chair and maybe like a trunk or something. Maybe like a trunk of sort. Maybe like trying to push the bed, stack them against to block the door. Did there come a time when Mr. Combs got to the door? Yes. What did he do at the door? He was banging and screaming. After you all barricaded the door with the furniture, what did you do? So there was an entrance to the bedroom that he was at from inside the house, and in the back I had like a little porch that went out to the beach. So we ran out that entrance and down the beach. Just to clarify, you ran out the back of the room? Yes. Do you remember anything about running in this situation? I just remember we were like running like so fast down the beach, and I remember like being shocked at the fact that we could still be attacked by mosquitoes as we were running. Do you remember how the incident ended? I don't remember how it ended, but I knew. I don't remember what happened after we got to wherever we were hiding. Were there any other times when you and Cass had to run for Mr. Combs in Turks? Yes. Was there another time you had to run on the beach? Yes. Do you remember what happened before you ran? I don't remember what happened before you ran. I just remember another. I have like another visual, like where we were hiding, and another visual, like trying to escape, like two separate times. Let's talk about when you were trying to escape. Where were you running to? We ran to the beach, and there was stand-up paddle boards. What did you do with the paddle boards? We got them and paddled out. Where was Mr. Combs? He was like running back and forth on the beach behind the house, like screaming at us. How did Mr. Combs appear when he was running on the beach? Irate. Who was with you on the paddle boards? Cassie. What were you all doing on the paddle boards? It was really flat and we were able to get out very far. Like I just remember the house getting smaller and smaller. What was the weather like when you were on the paddle boards? It was perfect. It then shifted dramatically and the sky like turned black. What were you thinking when the sky turned black? We were both. Objection. Court says overruled. You can answer. We were both debating. Hold on. Can you ask? Can you ask the question again, Miss Smiter? Mia, I'll just ask, listen to the question, and make sure you answer it. Focusing on you, Mia, not on Cassie. What were you thinking when the sky turned black? I was thinking, I'm trying to weigh if it was scarier to face Mother Nature or go back to Puff. What did you end up doing? We eventually went back to Puff. It just took a long time. We have now, Mia, talked about several times in which you saw or heard violence between Cassie and Mr. Combs and Cassie. Were those all the times that you saw or heard violence between them? No. Just some of them? Just some of them. Did you ever call the police after you saw an incident or violence between Mr. Combs and Cassie? No. Why not? For multiple reasons. I believe that Puff's authority was above the police. This was also a time period. This is years and years before social media, Me Too, or any sort of example where someone had stood up successfully to someone in power, such as him. Also, like I was taught to believe that this was felt under the confidentiality or loyalty of like Puff's business. What did that confidentiality mean to you? That was the most important thing. And Puff had told me that I was supposed to protect him from people that, because there were so many people trying to blackmail him. So I came to believe that reporting anything was blackmail. Did you ever go to the police about Mr. Combs' violence towards Cassie? No. Mia, besides what we have talked about so far, are there any other times you remember seeing injuries on Cassie? Yes. What kind of injuries did you see? I would see bruises on her body, like a fat lip, busted eyebrow, like a gash on her forehead, black eyes, things like that. I'm going to show you what's been marked for government's exhibits. Okay. Mia, do you recognize this? Yes. What is it? It's a photo of Cassie eating a hot dog at the premiere of her movie, The Perfect Match. How do you know that's what it was? I took that photo. Is it a fair and accurate representation of Cassie at the Perfect Match premiere? Yes. Okay, exhibits are offered. Um, you said you took this photo, Mia. Yes. Remind us where Cassie was at this time, at the premiere of her movie, The Perfect Match. Miss Foster, could you zoom in on Cassie's face through her arm, through her upper arm? Mia, could you talk about what, if any, injuries you see on Cassie in this photograph? Yes, she has bruising on her arm and then her under her uh like her eye. Where were these injuries covered in makeup at this time? Yes. Okay. Were there any other times that Cassie's injuries had to be covered up on the red carpet? Yes. Mia, do you recognize where this photo was taken? Yes. Where was it? It was at the red carpet at the Cannes Film Festival. When approximately was this? This was in May of 2012, I believe. And were you at the Cannes that year? Yes. Before Cassie got ready for the red carpet, what, if any, injuries did you see on Cassie? She had a busted lip, and I don't remember the other ones, but she was injured. Where were you when you saw her injuries? I don't remember the first time, but the first time I remember was in her hotel room. Who else was in her hotel room? It was me, Cass, Larry Sims, her hairstylist. Did you have an understanding of how she got these injuries? Yes. How did you learn that? Cass had taken an audio recording. What did Cassie say about the audio recording? That it was Puff attacking her. Did you listen to the audio recording? Yes. Without getting into what was said on it, do you recognize the voices on the audio recording? Yes. Whose voices did you recognize? Cass and Puff. What was Cassie's tone of voice in the audio recording? Objection from Mr. Steele. Panicked. The court says overruled. You said panicked? Panicked. What, if anything, was Mr. Combs saying on the recording? He was cursing at her. I don't remember like the exact words or what he was yelling at her. What was his tone of voice? It was very, very, very angry. Besides their voices, what else did you hear on the recording? Like the sound of the sound of somebody getting hit and being attacked, essentially. After you listened to this recording, Mia, and saw Cassie's injuries, did the two of you go to any events at the film festival? Yes. What events did you go to? We went to the premiere of Brad Pitt's movie, Killing Them Softly. Who else was with you at that premiere? Puff. What happened at that premiere? I was sitting next to Puff and Cass, and it was silent because it's a premiere of a movie, and Puff was talking to Cass, but with like a grit, like talking like this, like with his teeth clenched, but in an aggressive way. I looked over, and he was like digging his nails into her arms. What happened after that? So I just remember being in a movie premieres. You don't get to walk up and walk out. And I remember, I don't know the order of it, but he had made her leave and maybe go get her and then made me leave with him. It was kind of like a back and forth. Do you typically get up and leave during movie premieres? No, not at all. Taking a step back, Mia, were these all the times that you saw Cassie injured or just some of them? Just some of them. What, if anything, would Mr. Combs ask you to do when Cass was injured? Sometimes he would say, like, go take care of her. What kinds of things would you do when you were taking care of her? Bring her whatever she needs and just hang out with her. Yeah. What kinds of things would you bring her? I remember specifically because I didn't know what it was for, like the arnica gel, besides like anything that she couldn't get because she couldn't leave where she was. Did you have an understanding of what arnica gel is used for? Yes. What? It's for bruises? When you would go and take care of Cassie in these situations, where would she typically be? Before she had her own place, hotels. What was your understanding of why she was in the hotels? Because her injuries were too obvious to cover up? When you went to visit her, could you and Cassie leave the hotel together? Oh no. Why not? We were not allowed. Who decided that? Puff. When would Cassie leave the hotel? Once her injuries were like healed enough to cover up? Mia, next, I want to direct your attention to December 22nd of 2011. Did you take a trip to New York around that time? Yes. Where were you before you left for New York? I was in LA at Puff's 9374 address. What was the mood at Mr. Combs' house that morning? It was like dark. It was the energy felt really bad, but in a different way than normal. What do you mean by in a different way than normal? It was like, because normally I was used to when the energy was bad and he was mad. But this was more of a like, I don't know, like, how do I describe it? You know, when like Puff was, instead of just mad, Puff was upset, but questioning from the government. At some point, Mia, before you left, did you talk to Mr. Combs? Yes. What did you, what did he tell you? He had told me that he had found out that Cass had been talking to somebody else. Did he say who that person was? Yes. Who was it? Kid Cudi. How did he appear when he was saying this? Heartbroken. How did this compare to other times in which Mr. Combs was upset with Cassie from what you could see? Normally, he was just angry and aggressive. And this time felt like almost like this dark, like calm before the storm. Not calm before the storm, like some sort of ominous. All the time before, I had never witnessed Cass do something to cause him to be upset. And this was the first time that something had happened where, naturally a person would be upset about. So I felt like I was bracing myself for something really bad to happen. Did you see Cassie that morning from a distance? Where was she? She was in like a black SUV in front of the house. Who, if anyone, was with her? Capricorn Clark. Then you said at some point you left to go to New York. Is that right? Yes. When you left, did you reach out to any other employees? Yes. Who did you reach out to? Sienna Lee was the assistant there at the time. So her and D Rock. And D Rock is security, is that right? Yes. Why were you reaching out to Sienna and D Rock? Because I was worried about objection from Steele. It's overruled. You can answer. I was worried about Sienna. I don't believe it ever had to navigate a situation like that on her own. And then I was also worried about Cass, and I was worried about Puff, and D-Rock is like my big brother, and we were close, like Puff, and sort of felt responsible for making sure everyone was okay. Would you and D-Rock communicate about this kind of thing typically? All the time. Okay. All right, Mia. Okay, more exhibits get shown. Do you recognize this? Yes. What is it? It's an email between me and D-Rock. How do you know? Because I recognize it. It's our email addresses. Is it a fair and accurate representation of your email? Yes. Government enters those into exhibits. Steele says same objection. Government responds, just give me a sec. Miss Minor, can you lay some foundation before we admit these into the exhibits? Sure, Your Honor. So focusing on your communication with D-Rock, what were some of the reasons you were communicating with D-Rock in this situation? Objection. Court says that's overruled. You can answer. Because D-Rock and Puff were really close, and Puff had just objection. Steele objects. All right, let's draw a new question. Would you typically communicate with D-Rock as part of your job? Yes. And would you communicate with D-Rock about situations like this as part of your job? All the time. And why would you do that? Because D-Rock and I, it was like this also family dynamic situation. Like he was my big brother. Like we would have to figure out, we would have to know what was going on, like, help them and also protect them. I mean, it was just, okay. And were you and D-Rock both employed by Mr. Combs? Yes. And what was D-Rock's job? D-Rock was security. And was it part of D-Rock's job to protect Mr. Combs? Yes. Okay, 2 more exhibits are offered. All right, those exhibits are admitted under seal. Ms. Foster, can you please display the exhibits? Steele speaks. Your Honor, we're preserving our objection. The court says yes. Thank you. Mia, what are we looking at here? This is an email thread between me and D-Rock. So I want to direct your attention to the messages at the bottom of the page. Who sent that message? I did. And did this message start with, I'm currently Neil's? Who is Neil? Neil was another assistant. Could you please read this message? I'm currently at Neil's third home right now, the Sky, and I'm on my way to NYC. Hit this email when you land. I got to talk to you when I get there. Love you. At the end of the message, you said love you. Why did you say that? Oh, that's how I talk to everyone I care about. Were you romantically involved with D-Rock? No. D-Rock then says, what's up? I'm on my way to my crib. What did you say in response? I'm just super worried about P. I have no clue what's going on, and I don't usually care to know the details since they're usually the same, but something felt wrong this morning. This awful energy. What is going on? It has me sickly worried. I'll call you when I land. And who is P here? Puff. And you said that the details are usually the same. What do you mean by that? As in when he was upset with Cass or they weren't getting along. And how was this different? Because Puff was acting different and was hurt. All right. D-Rock then says, yeah, it's crazy right now. We definitely need to talk. Love you. And when D-Rock said, love you here, what did you understand that to mean? It was just how we always say, like, I love you, like, and how did you respond? Okay, I'll hit you up when I land. I love you too. When you take, Miss Foster, will you please take that down? Okay, more exhibits are displayed. Do you recognize these? Yes. What are they? Email between me and Puff. And are they a fair and accurate representation of your emails? Yes. Okay. And exhibits are redacted. Please remove those exhibits down. Okay, exhibits are offered. No objection from the court. Mr. Steele has the same position, and exhibits are admitted. Who are the participants in this email? Me and Puff. And what is the date and time of the first message? December 22nd, 2011 at 11:16 a.m. And who sent it? I did. When did you send this? I sent this when I was taking off on my flight. To New York? Yes. And what did you say? About to take off, love you. Were you saying love you romantically? No. Why did you say it? I always said it. How did Mr. Combs respond? Love you too. And how often did he say things like that? All the time, just normal. Okay, take that down. All right, Mia. I want to turn to a new topic now. Apart from Cassie was in a hotel from her injuries, like we discussed earlier. When you were working for Mr. Combs, were there ever times that Mr. Combs and Cassie went to hotels together? Yes. And how did you refer to these nights? Hotel nights. How long did the hotel nights typically last? They were all different. It depended sometimes. Pardon me. If he if Puff had worked like a bunch of stuff on his schedule the next day, sometimes it would be one night, sometimes it would be multiple nights. And I think you mentioned earlier that Tony Fletcher booked hotels and travel. Yes. Who? The executive assistants would, but also Melissa Viola later. What, if anything, was your role related to these hotel nights? I would sometimes take them there, unpack, set up, and then I would just be anytime Puff wanted me to bring, like, I had to be on call essentially if he needed anything and then pick them up and also like clean up before housekeeping. Okay. So you said a few things there and I want to break that down. You said that you would sometimes take them to the hotel. Who is them? Oh, sorry, Puff and Cass. And you also said you would set up hotel rooms. Is that right? Yes. What kind of supplies would you bring to set up these hotel rooms? All kinds of like toiletries, clothes, and candles, any sort of like writer items. And what other toiletries would you bring? Like all the lotions and potions and like baby oil, astroglides, and condoms. You mentioned candles. Were there any particular brand of candles that you brought? Yeah, there was a mixture of like the cheap and the expensive ones. The cheap ones were they all had to be white, but the cheap ones were the Glade white linen with the label off, and the expensive ones were the diptyque. And you mentioned that sometimes that you were on call during these nights. Is that right? Yes. Would Mr. Combs call you? Yeah. And what typically would he contact you about? Just anything that he expected to be brought to the hotel or unexpected to-do lists, anything like that. What kinds of things would he ask you to bring to the hotel? Anything he forgot at the house or like food, or if he asked like security to bring anything, I was already going there. Then I would bring whatever he asked security to bring, which was actually like money. And so when you would get money from security to bring to the hotel, approximately how much money would you be bringing? I never counted it, but I could see it. And it was like it was a lot. It was like thousands of dollars. Was there ever a time when you saw Cassie during a hotel night? Yes. Once or more than once? More than once. Is there a time that sticks out to you? Yes. Were there where were you when you saw Cassie during the hotel nights? The London and New York? And why were you at the hotel? Puff had asked me to bring something to the hotel. I don't remember what. So after Mr. Combs asked you to bring something to the hotel, what did you do? I would bring it, but I would say like, do you want me to leave it at the front desk or do you want me to bring it up to you? Or do you want me to bring it up? On occasions, did you bring up something to the room? Yes. Who answered the door? Cass. What was Cass wearing? A bright blue wig. Do you remember she was wearing clothes? She opened the door. I don't remember her not wearing clothes. That doesn't stick out. She opened the door like really small. So she just peeked out the door? Yeah. And how did Cass appear to you when she peeked out the door? Like she was struggling, different than I had seen her before. So much that I asked, are you good? Like essentially, are you okay? And what did Cassie do after you asked if she was okay? She was like, no, I'm okay. I'm good. Like that. And closed the kind of like I'm good, and then close the door. Mia, you mentioned that you also did cleanup of the hotel rooms. Is that right? Yes. Who instructed you to clean up the rooms? Puff. But it was also part of like from the office, like standard procedures that you call. It was like called sweep. Like you would sweep whenever he was, wherever he was, like whenever he was. What, if anything, did Mr. Combs say to you about why you were supposed to clean up these hotel rooms? Because you wanted to clean up enough stuff that wouldn't be like housekeeper couldn't take and run to TMZ or expose anything of his personal private business. What did the hotel rooms typically look like when you cleaned them? A nightmare? What do you mean when you say a nightmare? Just like they were just destroyed, really messy. And what specific kinds of damage did you see? I saw all kinds of candle wax everywhere that was like impossible to get out. Um, there would be a lot of wet towels everywhere. I've seen broken glass, water all over the floor, sometimes blood, oil all over, furniture and walls and things like that. You mentioned blood. Was What, if anything, did Mr. Combs tell you about the source of the blood? That it was blood. Mia, were you ever with Cass before a hotel night with Mr. Combs? Yes. Once or more than once? More than once. Is there a time that sticks out to you? Yes. Where were you on that occasion? I was in Cass. I was in Cass's car in LA. What, if anything, happened in Cassie's car? She got a message and was like, she was like upset, like, Puff wants to have a hotel night, and she seemed like she was like visibly like upset and like more like nervous, like really nervous, and she started getting like stomach issues because of it. Did she get sick? Yeah. Mia, what did Mr. Combs and Cassie do at hotel nights? We would call them, well, we called it like man down, because they would, whether it was at the hotel or house or wherever, they would basically stay in a room and sleep for, a day or two or three and just wake up to eat. Next, I want to talk about a different topic, and I want to talk about drugs. Aside from marijuana, before you started working with Mr. Combs, had you taken any drugs? No. While you were working for Mr. Combs, did you take drugs? Yes. How often? Not often. It was probably like a handful or two handfuls of times. When you took these drugs, was it with Mr. Combs, without Mr. Combs, or both? Both. The times you took drugs with Mr. Combs, who provided the drugs? Puff. Where were you when you did drugs aside from marijuana the first time? I was at Puff's Miami house during the winter music conference party. And do you remember when approximately this was? I don't remember the year, because every year he had like a party during the winter music conference at his Miami house, but I don't remember which year it was. And who gave you the drugs on this occasion? Puff. What kind of drug was it? It was like MDMA. And what, if anything, did Mr. Combs say when he gave you the MDMA? That I was now part of like the Breakfast Club. And yeah. And did you understand the Breakfast Club to mean? It was like a close circle of friends, like a party through breakfast. Like it was like the cool kids club. I don't know. What did Mr. Combs say about the MDMA? That it was the best because all of his stuff was pure. And did you take the MDMA? Yes. Why did you take it? Because I felt safe and protected by doing this under Puff's, I guess, supervision. And also felt like I also knew the dynamic would shift. That now I was, a friend hanging out and could enjoy herself. Yeah. So you felt like you were more like friends than an employee in that instance. Yeah. And you said that you felt safe taking the MDMA on that occasion. Why was that? Because Puff was like my only authority, and I believed everything he told me. And yeah, I don't know how to explain that, and he had told you that he had the best drugs. Yes. And what, if any, effects did the MDMA have on you? I made a lot of new friends. I was smiling a lot. I hugged everybody I saw. And yeah, I just had I was very like happy. What other kinds of drugs did Mr. Combs provide you? That like mall MDMA and then one time ketamine? So you remember him providing you MDMA and ketamine, is that right? Yes. Focusing on the ketamine, where were you when Mr. Combs gave you ketamine? Burning Man. And where exactly at Burning Man were you? We were on a tour bus where he was like, where we were sleeping, but he was basically hosting a bunch of people on it. Like he was partying on it. How did it come about that Mr. Combs gave you ketamine? He had put all the blackout shades up, like put the disco lights on and pulled out 3 plates. And there was like white powder on each plate. And it was presented as some sort of game of, like, he said one was Molly, one was cocaine, and the other one was ketamine. And people were like taking turns going up and I guess playing some like guessing game. And what, if anything, did Mr. Combs say to you when these 3 plates of drugs were out? That, like, it was my turn. And how did you react when Mr. Combs said it was your turn? I was like, I was really nervous. I tried to say no. What happened after you tried to say no? Puff wouldn't let it go and was at first snort of like making jokes about it, but then it turned a little bit more serious. And what do you mean it turned more serious? His tone started to change. Like I was going to mess up the whole vibe and like he was monitoring because I tried it and I tried to fake it and I tried to fake it, like fake snort it. And he got like close to my face and was upset that I just tried to, I guess, fake it. So you were trying to fake taking the drugs? Yeah. How did Mr. Combs react to that? He was like humiliating me and then was like he was going to separate, like basically monitor and separate the amount that I needed to take. So did he separate out a dose? Yes. And what did you understand you were supposed to do with that? Snort it? And what did you do? I did, but then when I got like any away from him for a minute, I like tried, I blew a lot of it out because I was so scared of ketamine, watching what it did to others. Had you ever taken ketamine before? No. And you said you were watching what ketamine did to others. What did you see? We had a friend that just gone through what looked like an exorcism, and they called it a K-hole, which I guess means you have done too much. It didn't look like, I don't know. It wasn't like it didn't look like you were in control of yourself. And then another friend next to me had just also gone into one, but seemed to be enjoying it. I don't know. I just that wasn't the atmosphere for me. Did you want to take the ketamine? No. Why did you take it? I didn't think that like I had a choice. Um, I think Mia, you said earlier that you were working for Mr. Combs. You saw him do drugs. Is that right? Yes. What kind of drugs have you seen him do? I've seen him take like Molly, MDMA, ketamine, and then prescription, but I don't know which ones. And on what occasion did you see him do drugs? Mostly like like in a party situation? Yeah, like, and were there any other occasions other than parties when Mr. Combs appeared to be high to you? Yes. And what were those occasions? There were like a few times that, well, at the studio there were like a handful of times I remember that stuck out to me where I thought like this is an appropriate time. Like one time it was at a board meeting, one time was like going to the Chelsea Handler show. Like there were just a few times where it was where I was like, oh gosh, when am I going to pull him out to the side and say, like, you look a little crazy at that moment? And so during these times when Mr. Combs appeared high, did he do any work? Well, to me, Puff was like always working essentially. But yeah, he did. Yeah, he was in a work situation. Yes. And from what you could see, where did Mr. Combs store his drugs? In his med bag. What is the med bag? The med bag was like a Louis Vuitton pouch, essentially, that held like his prescriptions, sort of like a gold travel medicine cabinet. And from what you know, what was kept inside this med bag? A bunch of prescriptions. I'm not really sure. Like I'm not sure which ones. I remember seeing like I didn't try to like snoop in there, but I remember seeing like a plastic baggie with yellow pills, and then like I remember seeing pills with some sort of stamp on them, like I don't know, happy faces with the eyes xed it out, or something like that. And where typically was the med bag? Wherever Puff was. Okay, Mia, next I want to talk to you about a relationship with Mr. Combs. At a high level, how would you describe how Mr. Combs treated you when you were working for him? At a high level, sometimes he treated me like his best friend, like working partner. Sometimes he treated me like I was a worthless piece of crap. And so when Mr. Combs was treating you like his best friend or his working partner, what kind of things would he say to you? The mood would be different, or he would be talking to me about, like, he would talk about like personal stuff. He would sometimes, yeah, like compliment like the work I was doing. So he would sometimes act as my protector. He would sometimes give me life advice or try to, sorry, that's okay. When you say that there were times that he treated you like you were worthless, what kind of things would he do in those situations? He would humiliate me. He would curse at me. He would go on like really long, extended rants about how incompetent and stupid I was. Yeah, and threaten my job. Just, would he do anything to you physically? Yeah, he would throw things at me. Mia, when things were good, you were talking about when you were work partners. Were there times that you and Mr. Combs talked about job opportunities for you? Yes. And what were those discussions like? Before the Revolt films, especially when times were hard, as in like there, I had a lot of things, a billion trillion things on my plate. He would say things like, one day you can like you can do whatever you want at any of my companies. And that's when I was like, I don't want to. And I told him that I really wanted to do, which was like create and develop films and TV projects, especially comedy. And he said that's what he wanted to do too. So, and what would he say about those creative and TV projects when he was upset with you? Oh, he would threaten to take them away, or he would take them away, take my credits, tell me that he's not doing them, like that. So I want to circle back a few things you just talked about, Mia. I think you mentioned that sometimes when Mr. Combs was upset, he would throw things at you. What kind of things would he throw at you? One time he threw like a bowl of spaghetti at me, turkey meat, a phone, a computer. Let's talk about a few of those, focusing first on the bowl of spaghetti. Where were you when he threw that at you? I was at the, sorry, I was at in the kitchen at 9374 Beverly Crest Drive house. And just remind us, was Mr. Combs there from approximately 2010 to 2014? Yes. Okay. What time of day was it in on this particular instance? It was after, it was like 3 in the morning. Who was around at Mr. Combs' house at that night? I don't remember like what security or if there was any other assistants working, but whoever was with us in that capacity. And then a bunch of people that he had brought back from his club appearance. So Mr. Combs threw the bowl at you. What, if anything, did he tell you to do? He said to go get everybody IHOP right now. And what did you do after he said that? I started to walk. I started to go down to my room. And why were you going to your room? Because we had been out since like 8 in the morning, like go, 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 go. And I was next to him and barely got a break. And I was on my period and then needed to change my product immediately. And how did Mr. Combs react when you started going towards your room? He was pissed. And what, if anything, did he say? Like, yo, girl, I didn't tell you, like when I told you to go to IHOP, I meant like now. I didn't tell you to go to your effing room yet. And I tried to say something, and he just it, it made him more like aggressive and louder and like going on sort of like a really humiliating rant in front of everybody. And what did you try to say to him? Well, I was like, after it went on for so long, there was literally blood dripping down my leg. And I finally just said, like, I just have to change my product. I have blood dripping down my leg. And how did Mr. Combs react to that? He immediately, like, he had a bowl of spaghetti in his hand and he immediately like threw it at me aggressively and started cursing at me and telling me like I better get the F out of his house and started. And then he chased me outside. Did the bowl hit you? No. How close was it to you? It was like a few feet, like a couple of feet. Like, I don't know, arm's length maybe. Did anyone intervene? No. And you said Mr. Combs chased you outside? Yeah, I don't know if he made it outside, but he chased me. Like, up the stairs. I ran out of the house barefoot. Where did you go after that? I ran and hid, like in a bush, and then eventually I escaped to, I believe, a hotel. Did there come a time when someone from the human resources talked to you about this incident? Yes. Who talked to you? I believe it was Vashta. At a high level, what do you remember Vashta telling you? That I was going to be suspended without pay. That because Puff, that's what Puff said. And what did they say the reason was that you were going to be suspended? Because Puff is the boss and that's what he wanted. Did she say anything about Mr. Combs throwing the bowl or chasing you out of the house? Oh no. All right, Mia, you also mentioned that Mr. Combs threw a computer at you. Is that right? Yes. Where were you when that happened? In LA on his trailer at a music video set? Do you remember when this was? I think it was maybe 2000, like 11, I think, or 12. I get the years mixed up. Who was around on this movie set? Oh, his trailer was like his barber, I believe Derek, his stylist. I remember Swiss Beats, I think Capricorn, and just whoever was working. Okay, what, if anything, did Mr. Combs ask you to do before he threw the computer at you? He had just arrived and he was like, the Wi-Fi is not working. So I ran to go find a production assistant and just to let them know and see if they were like fixing the situation. And they were. So when did you return to Mr. Combs after figuring out the Wi-Fi situation? Yes. What did you tell him about the Wi-Fi? I was trying to regurgitate. I was trying to tell him what the production assistant had told me, and they were working on it, but he didn't let me finish. What did he do at that point? He cut me off and started screaming at me like I shouldn't come back here until I figure out the Wi-Fi myself. Something about I don't care if you have to call Bill Gates, and then he chucked the computer at my head. So he threw the computer at your head. Did the computer hit you? No. How close was it to your head? It was it was very close. Like it was like very close. I just remember being like, "Oh wow, he meant to hit me." How hard did it appear that Mr. Combs threw the computer? Hard. And what did you do after he threw the computer? I ran out of the trailer and went and hid behind like the luggage van. Are these all of the times that Mr. Combs threw things at you, or just some of them? Just some of them. And how did you feel when Mr. Combs threw things at you? Terrified and so humiliated and so confused? Like what did I do so, like what did I do so wrong that something is wrong with me? that I would make him so, so upset. Yeah. Were there times in which Mr. Combs physically injured or hurt you? Yes. When did that happen? Was once at Cassie's apartment, like we talked about earlier? Yes. Where else do you remember Mr. Combs hurting you? Turks and Caicos and the Revolt Network offices? Okay, so let's take those in turn. You mentioned once Turks and Caicos. What was that on the same Turks trip that you testified about earlier? Yes. And where were you when this happened in Turks? I was sleeping in a hammock behind my on the little porch behind my bedroom. Did there come a time when you were woken up? Yes. And how did you wake up? I woke up in shock by having it was an ice bucket, but it was like a jumbo, like a huge size metal one, like full of ice, like the whole thing dumped on me. And who dumped this ice and bucket on you? Puff. What did Mr. Combs do after dumping this on you? He was like screaming at me about something and then like snatched my phone. And how did you respond to getting this ice dumped on you? Oh, I was in shock. I like jolted up and had no idea what was happening. What did you do after Mr. Combs took your phone? I panicked because I didn't want him to go through my phone and I like jumped on his back. Why didn't you want Mr. Combs to go through your phone? Because our internal team, personal team, we would keep each other like aware of of his moods, aware of his like moods. I mean, and like the help each other out. So sometimes those weren't really worded the nicest, and I didn't want him to like find me, I guess, like talking shit about him because I didn't know what that would do if. So you jump onto his back? Yes. And then what did he do after you jumped onto his back? He like threw me onto the backwards into the pool. Mia, let's focus next on the incident you mentioned at the Revolt Network office. And that is Revolt TV, not Revolt Films. Correct. And where was this office located? It was a Hollywood and Highland in Los Angeles. Had you been there before? If I had, the only like once because I didn't remember. I wasn't familiar with if I had. It hadn't been like a lot. Like I wasn't familiar with the area of or the building. And when approximately was this? Oh, I think it was 2012. I'm so bad with the years. Are you estimating sometime around 2012? I think so. And what were you doing with Mr. Combs at the Revolt office? Puff like enlisted me to help at the beginning of developing the network. And so he had me there for some sort of like come to Jesus meeting with everyone from Revolt Network. I mean, yeah. And what did he ask you to do? He told me to get somebody on the phone, but on my phone. Okay. So what happened after you got someone on the phone? I was following pretty closely to him because Derek, his stylist, had just asked me how Puff's mood because he had to meet with him. And I said something like he's being like he's I said something not so nice, I guess, probably like he's being a jerk or an a-hole or something like that. And so I was following really closely, I guess, obviously, because I didn't want him to. I wanted to like get my phone back after he hung up so he didn't see it. So what did Mr. Combs do with the phone? He started like looking at me and he's like, why are you following so close? He's like, what do you got on this phone? And then he ran away. And when he ran away, did he take the phone with him? Yes. Did you follow him? Yes. Where'd he go? He ran into the bathroom. Did you run into the bathroom too? Yes. What happened in the bathroom? I got like partially in, like my arm got in the door and he like slammed it on my arm. At first I thought it was like an accident, but then he did it multiple times like yeah. And how heavy was the door? It was like a commercial building, so it was pretty heavy. And did you have any injuries from Mr. Combs slamming the door onto your arm? Yeah. I thought at first like there was no way this is going to be broken, but I just had bruises. And what did Mr. Combs do after he slammed the door on your arm? He bolted right past me and ran down the fire stairs of the building out to the road. Did he leave? Yes. And did he have your phone with him? Yes. At some point later that day, did you see Mr. Combs? Yes. Where did you see him? At the studio. What, if anything, did Mr. Combs say to you at the studio? He came outside and said something along the lines of like, "Yeah, I wouldn't want someone going through my phone if I had what you had in there either." And but I sent all of your like compromising or inappropriate or naked or something like that this photo to my phone, so I got something on you just in case you got something on me. Or just like, because you got stuff on me, like kind of like a bullying joke. But how did you take it? I was relieved because I knew he was lying. He didn't see the messages from me and Derek. But yeah. Did you, in fact, have compromising photos of yourself on your phone? No. And so Mr. Combs said to you, now you have something. So now I have something on you, like you have something on me. What did you understand that to me? Oh, just like because I was so like enmeshed in his life, that his life and his, he always gives me his phones or his computer or something like that. I don't know. And that kind of like, I don't know, like I know some of his secrets or I've seen some of his stuff. I don't know that now, now. Were you aware of anything specific he was referring to? No. I just always, no, nothing specific. Just like I was like, so like never really could get like leave his side. So obviously I knew. Had you ever tried to use anything like that against Mr. Combs? Oh no, never. More exhibits are offered. What is this, Mia? This was an email from me or between me and Tony and Shannon. And just remind us who Tony is. She might have been the chief of staff at that time, but if not, she was still in that role. Like, or I'm sorry, she's still like, sorry. Yes, she's still doing things that role would. And Shannon was the executive assistant. So I want to focus on the first message. Who sent that message? I did. And who did you send it to? To Tony and Shannon? What did you say? Puff took my phone and left me on the street in Hollywood. My iPhone is in his car. Not sure if I'll get it back. Why were you sending this message? Because I had to keep everyone aware of Puff's movement all the time in order to make sure he got around or, everyone was in position. And then plus also the office would send a million things. I had to ask him constantly. So I didn't want Tony or Shannon to think that I was not being responsive to them because I had to respond like constantly. Okay. Can you submit to that, Miss Foster? Tony responds, "Are you okay?" What did you say in her response? I found revolt, thank goodness, because I was a little lost and barefoot. What are you talking about here? That I was on the street barefoot and I was lost and I finally found the offices again? So after Mr. Combs ran out of revolt with your phone, what did you do? I threw off my heels and I ran after him. Where did he go? He meandered through some like dark streets and then like dove into his car and his driver and him drove away. Okay. And then Tony asked you next what happened. How did you respond? Definitely an in-person story. Anyone want to pick me up from studio? I don't know where he is. And what do you mean an in-person story? I would never tell anyone these sorts of stories, but especially on email, because if there were any stories that included violence, I would omit those, but I would also like keep Tony and Shannon sometimes like aware again, like his moods or whatever sort of situation it was. And why would you omit the violence when you would inform other people about it? Oh, because I would never tell anyone that. Did you talk amongst the inner team about these things if they saw it? So, what are the kinds of people you would talk to about the violence like this? D-Rock, sometimes Derek, or I guess like sometimes Matt. Yeah, just like people who had been around and like would witness things. And who is Matt? Matt was Puff's engineer. And what, if anything, was your relationship with Matt? Oh, at that point, we dated. Mia, we could take that down. Mia, we've talked about several instances in which Mr. Combs was physically violent to you. How did you feel on those occasions? Terrified, humiliated, embarrassed. Again, like I didn't know like what I did wrong, and in a weird way, like I like I didn't know why I deserved it. And but I made a lot of excuses for him in my head. Okay, so they take a little break. The government requested, and it's a 15-minute break. They're coming back from break. The government tells the court that they won't be done today with Mia for sure, but lets the court know. All right, break is over, so Mia comes back to the stand. Mia, you testified earlier that Mr. Combs SA'd you multiple times. Is that right? Yes. Did you ever want to engage in S activities with Mr. Combs? No. Over what period of time did the SA assaults occur? Over, I'm not sure of the years, but they were sporadic. Were they sporadic during your employment with Mr. Combs? Yes. Where was Cassie when these SA assaults occurred? Not there. Did you tell her about them? No. Where were you the first time you remember Mr. Combs SA assaulting you? At the Plaza Hotel in New York for his 40th birthday? For whose 40th birthday? For Puff's 40th birthday. Why were you at the Plaza Hotel? Because I was working. Were you Mr. Combs' personal assistant at the time? Yes. I was very new. Approximately how long had you been working for Mr. Combs at that point in time? Just a few months. How much of the hotel had Mr. Combs rented for his birthday party? I remember it was the whole thing. Where was Mr. Combs physically located at that party? He was like at the penthouse suite, and then the downstairs of the hotel was where the main party was. So, so he was going back and forth between. Was there a time when Mr. Combs was in the penthouse? Yes. Did there come a time when you went to the penthouse? Yes. Why? Because we had to stay within his eyesight and earshot. When both you and Mr. Combs were in the penthouse, who else was there? A lot of people, Malcolm, whoever was working at that time, and then other party guests, I guess, celebrities. Was Cassie there? No. What did Mr. Combs do when you were in the penthouse? At some point, he asked to speak to me in the kitchen. After he asked to speak to you in the kitchen, what did he do? I guess he had everybody else clear the room and leave. Did you end up going into the kitchen? Yes. Who was in the kitchen with you and Mr. Combs? Just us. What did Mr. Combs tell you in the kitchen? He was saying he noticed what a good job I was doing and that I didn't have to be nervous or scared to come to him because at the time I was just going through Malcolm, the other assistant, to ask questions, or I wasn't really like going direct to Puff. And he was saying that he had noticed I was doing a great job and that like sort of like we were going to be working closer together, so we should things like that. What, if anything, did Mr. Combs offer you when you were in the kitchen with them? He then poured us shots of vodka to cheer for his birthday. How many shots did he give you? I think two. What did you do with those shots? I took them. Had you been drinking earlier that night? Not that I recall, but if so, like it wasn't like affecting me. How did these shots that you took with Mr. Combs make you feel? I remember thinking like, whoa, did I not eat or something before they affected me? Like I felt like they hit me kind of hard. How did shots normally made you feel at this point in your life? I was in my 20s in New York. Two shots would not have made me feel that way. What did Mr. Combs do after you took the shots? He was still talking like I just remember my back. I was like standing against the wall, and I just remember he was talking, and all of a sudden, his face got closer. Like I remember my eyes couldn't like focus on his face because it was so close, and I didn't really know what was happening. And he put his arm next to my head, up against the wall, and like leaned in to like kiss me, and put his other hand on the side of my dress. I just want to make sure I have this straight. Did Mr. Combs kiss you at that point? Yeah. Did you want Mr. Combs to kiss you? No. Did Mr. Combs put his hands up your dress? Yes. Did you want him to do that? No. Were you able to tell Mr. Combs no in that moment? No. Why not? I was shocked, and I was shocked, and I froze. I didn't even process what was happening. What is the next thing that you remember happening after Mr. Combs kissed you? My next memory is I just remember being on a chair like in the main room in that penthouse, and like coming to the chair, and the sun was coming up. When you came to, uh, were you close? Yes. Was anyone else around? I don't really remember. In my memory, I don't see anyone. At this point in time, when Mr. Combs kissed you, what did you think about Mr. Combs' role? He was my boss. He was a very powerful person. He was to me like he is younger than my dad, but I looked at him like an older like adult. He was the boss or the king, very powerful person. Mia, earlier you said the next thing you remember is coming to on a chair in the penthouse. Do you remember how you got from the kitchen to the main penthouse? No. What do you mean when you say like you came to? That's just my next memory. What were your expectations about whether something like this would happen again? I thought it would never happen again. I thought, oh my gosh, he was so drunk, and I will never tell anybody. And it was probably just like a huge accident. And I was sort of like, I knew the confidentiality, and I was kind of like, I didn't want like that too. I thought he would have never remembered that it was a huge accident, and I was never going to. I was never going to act like I was going to act like nothing happened. Were there other times after this incident at the Plaza Hotel in which Mr. Combs made you feel uncomfortable sexually? Yes. Approximately how long after his 40th birthday party was the next time you remember? I don't know how long it was, but I remember still. I remember how I felt as far as like I was still relatively new. Yeah, so I was still relatively new, but it wasn't like right after. I don't know. Could have been months. Where were you the next time you remember this happening? I was in New York at his apartment. At whose apartment? At Puff's apartment. Why were you at Mr. Combs' apartment? Because at the end of whenever Puff was done for the day or the night, or whenever everybody went upstairs to like drop off his bags and set him up, I was the one with his bags. When you got to the apartment to do that, did you see any other employees? Downstairs outside was his driver and security. Who was from security there? Uncle Polly. What, if anything, did Uncle Polly say to you at this time? Objection from Steele. Hold on. Grounds? Hearsay. The court responds, Miss Smyser, it's for the effect on the listener, Your Honor. Court says overruled. What, if anything, do you remember Uncle Polly saying to you? He said something that made me feel super uncomfortable. At first I was going up to the apartment. I didn't think anything. He said something like, not like a warning or like be careful, but something like, like I have seen this before. It was something like that, like made my inner alarms go off. Where did you go after speaking with Uncle Polly? I had to go upstairs with his bags. With whose bags? Puff's bags. When you went upstairs, where was Mr. Combs? He was in the apartment. Where in the apartment? In the foyer? What did Combs tell you to do? I was just dropping off the bags, and then he asked me to pull something on the computer. What did you do after he asked you that? I went into his living room, had like a U-shaped couch, where that's where there wasn't much space in the apartment. That's where you would basically be. I went to the far, far, far end and pulled up whatever he asked for. What did Mr. Combs do when you were pulling this up on your computer? He came up and sat next to me, and then he like leaned over um, me almost to look like put his face in the computer. But this was like in a very uncomfortable way. Aside from Mr. Combs had kissed you and put his hand up on your dress, had he ever been that close to you? No. How did you feel when he was leaning over you? There was something inside of me that was like sounded the alarm bells. Like I felt really uncomfortable, but I didn't know how to behave because I didn't want to make a big deal if it was nothing. What did you do next? I faked like I said, "Oh, I have to go to the bathroom so bad." Like I had to pee and I had got up and like ran to the bathroom. What happened after you went to the bathroom? He was like, "Oh, well, I'll see you tomorrow." And then he let me go for the night. So see, he wasn't trying to do anything. I just convinced myself that I was. Objection from Mr. Steele. Court says overruled. Let's get a new question. How did this incident make you feel, Mia? When he let me go, I felt like, okay, see, like he wasn't trying to do anything. That was just like this all in my head. That was just some silly joke that Uncle Polly was saying. I felt crazy and felt safe again. Yeah, you mentioned earlier that Mr. Combs essayed you on multiple occasions. Where were you the next time you remember Mr. Combs essaying you? At his 9933 Beverly Grove Drive? That's a house in Los Angeles? Yes. And he was in the house approximately 2009 to 2010, from what you remember? Yes. Where were you in the Beverly Grove house? The room I stayed in was upstairs in a room with bunk beds. So I was asleep on the bottom bunk bed. Did you lock the door to your room? No. Remind the jury why not. Objection. Court says it's overruled. Why didn't you lock the door to your room, Mia? Because I wasn't allowed to. That was his house and you can't lock his doors. And who did not allow you to lock the doors? Puff. Did there come a point in time when you woke up? Yes. What caused you to wake up? The weight of a person on top of me. Who was on top of you? Puff. What do you remember happening when Mr. Combs was on top of you? I remember it was sort of like him telling you that somehow be quiet and using this just happened so fast, using like one hand to get, I guess, his hands over whatever off. What did he do when he used that hand to get his hands undone? He put his himself inside of me. So you said that he put himself inside of you, is that right? Yes. Do you mean that he put his area inside of you? Yes. How did you react when that happened? I just froze. I didn't react. How did you feel? Terrified, confused, ashamed, scared? Did you want to have S with Mr. Combs? No. How long was this assault? It was very quick, but it felt like forever. How did it end? I don't remember, but I know that he didn't like leave the job unfinished. So he wouldn't leave a job unfinished? Yeah. Whenever he was done or satisfied, he just got what he wanted. Is that when it would end? Yes. Mia, where were you the next time you remember Mr. Combs essaying you? I was at 9374 Beverly Crest home. What were you doing in the Beverly Crest house? We were getting him ready to go to like a meeting or run out of a house. So I was on his bedroom closet floor, like putting stuff in a bag. Who was in the bedroom closet with you? I thought nobody, or people were always in and out, like running around. But then Puff, did there come a point in time when Mr. Combs came into the closet? Yes. What did Mr. Combs do when he got in the closet? I wasn't paying attention. It was going so fast. But the next thing I looked up, he was like standing right in front of me, in front of my face. And what happened when Mr. Combs was standing right in front of your face? He had his thing out, and he like grabbed my head and put it in it and put it in there. So Mr. Combs took out his area, and is that right? Yes. And he grabbed your head and put it towards him? Yes. Did he put his area in your mouth? Yes. How did you react when that happened? I was just frozen and I didn't do anything. I just let it happen. How did you feel when Mr. Combs put his area in your mouth? Like trash, scared, ashamed, and defeated, like an idiot? Did you want to give Mr. Combs OS? No. How long did this last? It was very fast, really fast. Mia, other than what we just described so far, were there any other times in which Mr. Combs essayed you? Yes. Sitting here today, do you remember the details of those assaults? No. What generally do you remember? I just remember feeling like a specific horrible dark feeling, like in my stomach, and I would just get surrounded like certain places, but I don't remember. Can you describe an example of a memory you have with the kind of dark feeling? I remember one time we were flying on a private jet and everyone was asleep. Our team was asleep. And in the back between the main area and the bathroom, there was a separate place where there was a bed and he would get to sleep. And it was normal if you had to go to the bathroom, you just walked through there. And it was, yeah, everyone was asleep. I went to the bathroom. I remember when I opened the door, he was standing right there, like basically was trying to push me back inside, which I don't remember what happened. Do you remember getting pushed back into the bathroom? Yeah. I remember trying to squiggle out of it, like no, 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 no. I would always, in order to get out of things, if I ever could, I would make it about other people that could potentially hear or see or whatever. I remember like, no, 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 it didn't work. So you sometimes use other people as a distraction to get out of the S encounters. Yes. How did you feel in this instance when you realized you couldn't distract Mr. Combs or squiggle out of it, even when other people were around? Like helpless? Like I have lost some layers of protection, so unsafe and just terrified. Sitting here today, do you remember exactly what happened in the bathroom? No. Mia, were there ever a time in which you initiated S contact with Mr. Combs? Oh, no, no. Was there ever a time you told Mr. Combs you wanted to have S with him? No. I think earlier you mentioned that these assaults would happen sporadically. Is that right? Yes. There was no pattern. When they would happen, where was Cassie? She was not there. Did Mr. Combs have any other girlfriends? Yes. Where were they in these instances? Not there. Were you able to predict when the S assaults happened? Never. Never. There was no, like, they would always random, sporadic. It would go so oddly spaced out where I would never think that it would happen again. And the way that our dynamic was, I was constantly, there was no boundaries. So it wasn't weird for me to be in his room at all hours of the night or walking up or talking to him while he's on the toilet. And it never happened in situations that would be like that, or even like during a party. Never know. After an assault, what was your expectation about whether Mr. Combs would ever engage in S contact with you again? I always thought like that it was the last time and that the next time I would, if there ever a next time, I would somehow be more prepared. He would have to get right back into work, and there was so much going on, I never processed it. I never thought it would happen again. What would you do after the S assault occurred? Just keep moving. Like, keep right back to whatever I was doing right before, which was always an insane amount of work or running around. And you mentioned that you would keep it moving. What did you mean by that? That means just like that could never happen and keep on. You're like, just stay focused on whatever you're doing before. Keep working. There was no time to stop and think and reflect on anything. Just keep it moving like it never happened. Is keep it moving a phrase that Mr. Combs would use? Yes. Mia, during any of these essay assaults, was there any indication to you that Mr. Combs was on drugs? No. You have now described several times in which he has essayed you. Just to be clear, during any of these incidents, did you want to engage in any S acts with Mr. Combs? No. Did you actually tell him no? No. I only tried to squiggle out of them if I could, but otherwise, no. Why didn't you tell him no? Because I couldn't tell him no. I couldn't tell him no about a sandwich. I couldn't tell him no about anything. There was no way I could tell him no, because he would know that I thought what he was doing was wrong, and then I would be a target. What were you afraid of? What were you afraid would happen if you told Mr. Combs no with regards to S? That he would fire me and ruin my career and somehow twist the story into making me look like a threat? Why were you afraid of those things? Because I knew his power, and I knew his control over me, and I didn't want to lose anything that I worked so hard for, or this like world that I was the only thing that I had anymore. What, if anything, were you worried would happen to your job? It would be over. I would never work in the industry again. What, if anything, were you worried would happen to you physically? Somehow attacked. I didn't to die or get hurt. You were worried about Mr. Combs physically hurting you if you told him no? Yeah, always. When you told him no, not just about S, yes. What, if anything, did Mr. Combs say to you about these essay assaults? He didn't, but he did threaten me sometimes with them. How would he threaten you with them? He threatened that he was going to tell everybody, and he was going to telecast, as though I had something to do with it. As if you had something to do with it? Yes. How did that make you feel when he threatened to tell everybody? Like desperate, terrified, and happen in the worst, scariest situation? I would have done like anything to not have it happen. Like it was my fault. Mia, when Mr. Combs was essaying you, did you tell anyone about it? No. Why not? I was going to die with this. I didn't want anyone to ever know. What, if anything, were you worried would happen if you spoke out? That I would have been silenced? That I would have been punished? I would have been exiled from my like second family? I would have had a horrible reputation? I would have lost everything. Who do you think would do those things to you? Puff and everyone he involved. Why did you not tell HR or chief of staff about the essay assault? HR was only around when Puff wanted to call HR to punish you. HR was not there to protect you, but also, who is going to believe me? And this was way before me too. This was before social media or mental like help awareness or SA. Way before any of this. I just thought I would be punished. There's no way I would ever told them. Plus, this is confidentiality. Who instilled confidentiality in you? Puff in the office. When you are working for Mr. Combs, Mia, were there ever times that you saw other employees speak up about Mr. Combs' abuse? Yes. Who spoke up? Kala Faulkner. Remind me who Kala is. Kala was an assistant. Is this the same Kala Mr. Combs directed you to reach out to after he slammed Cassie's head into the bed frame? Yes. Did Kala speak up before or after the incident? After. How did you learn that Kala had spoken up about Mr. Combs? I told you there was like an urgent phone call among people like executives. Yeah, in the office. Objection from Steele. Court says overruled. Were you on that call? Yes. What did you understand that Kala had said when she's spoken up? Court said, hold on, Miss Sminer. Can you lay a little bit more context for this call? Sure. Mia, who generally was on this call? I don't remember everyone, but I know it was like HR at the time, and I believe the chief of staff. I believe there was like a C-suite executive. What is your understanding of the purpose of this call? Was to discuss how to handle Kala. Okay. What did you understand that Kala had said when she spoke up? She had told the new chief of staff casually that she thought that Puff had hit Cass, and the chief of staff told, I believe, HR. Objection from Mr. Steele. Court says overruled. Who was the chief of staff at the time? Her name was Eureka Gillicky. She was new. I'm probably pronouncing her last name wrong. What happened to Kala after this phone call? She was fired. Did Mr. Combs ever talk to you about Kala being fired? Yes. What did he tell you? That if she was filed a lawsuit that I would have to get up on the stand and do what? Testify everything he told me to say, and also about an incident that happened a month or a few months before that. At a really high level, what happened a few months before? A few months before, Kala had been drinking in the office in the day and had forgotten to pay a bill of Puffs. And I was in the office getting that call, and I let her know, and she threw the wallet at me. And I was like shocked. She ended up getting aggressive and got in my face, and then ended up punching me in my face. I just left. And then later Puff punished both of us, and made, instead of punishing her, suspended me as well, and made me stay with her, and help her get her back on track. Was Kala fired after this incident when she punched you? No. When was she fired? After she told the chief of staff she thought Cass was abused by Puff. You were just talking about Mr. Combs telling you that you may testify against Kala. Was this the only time Mr. Combs told you you would have to testify against someone? No. When was the other time? After Capricorn Clark left or was fired? Do you remember approximately when this was? I don't remember, but it was a few years. Sorry. I feel like it was like a few years before Kala. What did Mr. Combs tell you about testifying against Capricorn? That if there were any sorts of lawsuits, I would have to get up on the stand and defend him and say that he wanted me to say. You would have to say what he wanted you to say? Mm-hmm. Did you actually have to testify? No. Mia, why didn't you go to the police about Mr. Combs essaying you? I didn't even think that wasn't even like an option. I didn't even think that was an option. Had you had any interactions with the police related to Mr. Combs that gave you that belief? Yeah. Yes. One or more than one? More than one. Did one of these interactions involve you specifically? Yes. Why don't you tell us about that? I was driving in LA and I was speeding as fast as possible because I had to get to Puff because he was upset that it was taking me so long to get to where he was. And I hadn't had time to go and get my license renewed. So I didn't even have a license, and I was pulled over and I was panicking because I didn't want to get in trouble with Puff. So it was like only time I ever name dropped, and I just said, I'm sorry, but please, I don't want to upset my boss. And when I told her who it was, she said the only way, she didn't believe me. She needed proof, and in a very official way, to get him on the phone. So I did. And then the second I handed the phone, she started laughing and saying, like, oh my God, Puff Daddy, I love you. Like, just went into this whole very excited conversation, and then she let me go. Did you get a ticket? Oh no. And you mentioned that there was multiple interactions with the police. Was Mr. Combs present for one of the other interactions? Yes. Who else was there? I don't remember. It was like a security and a driver. I don't remember which security it was. And what happened on that occasion? We were pulled over, like doing something like speeding ridiculous or driving in the shoulder or something. And the cops approached pretty aggressively. And then once they saw Puff, they were like, "Oh, my bad. Oh yeah, they left us alone." What city did these interactions with the police occur in? LA. When was the first time you told someone else that Mr. Combs had SA'd you? Within the past like year and a half, I think. Was this before or after your first meeting with the government? After. Why did you not tell the government initially about the essays? Because I didn't know that you had to tell the bad things that happened to you if nobody else saw. And I thought I could just die with it and never tell anyone because it's shameful. Shameful thing of my life. Did you have a lawyer when you first met with the government? No. At some point, did you get a lawyer to help you prepare for your testimony today? Yes. Did you disclose these essay assaults to the government before or after you got a lawyer? After. Without getting into any discussions that you had with your lawyer, why are you talking about the essays today? Because I have to tell the truth, the whole truth. Objection from Steele. Court says overrule. You can answer, Mia. Because I have to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And also, I now have a moral obligation because when you're scared into silence, these things continue to happen to others, and I can't. Objection. Government court speaks. Miss Smicer, again, another question. Do you want to be talking about essay assaults today, Mia? Absolutely not. Why not? Because objection, the court overrules. Why not, Mia? Because it is the most traumatizing, it's the worst thing and most shameful thing that ever happened to me. Why are you testifying here today? Objection. Ms. Meiser, I think that has been asked. I think we can break here, Your Honor, before I move on to the next new topic. Very well. Members of the jury will be back here starting at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Okay. So the jury leaves. Mia leaves as well. And so that concludes the first day of Mia's testimony. Again, let me know what you guys think in the comments. If make sure you watch the first part of the video because this kind of goes with that. Let me know what you guys think. Shout out to everybody that donated for the transcripts. Y'all are amazing. I really appreciate you. And I will see you guys again. Make sure if you don't have your if you don't get a notification, check daily to see if we're live. Because what I'm noticing is that YouTube isn't always sending those notifications out. So just see if we're live, especially during court trial times. Very likely that we are. All right. I'll see you guys later on. Hit the like button. Bye, guys.